Members' motion with no legislative effect. Dr. Tan Yueheng will move a motion on tackling population aging and fostering an elderly-friendly economy. Mr. Michael Luk will move an amendment to the motion. This Council will proceed to a joint debate on the motion and the amendment. Later, I'll first call upon Dr. Tan Yueheng to speak and move the motion. Then I'll call upon Mr. Michael Luk to speak, but he may not move the amendment at this stage. The joint debate now begins. Members who wish to speak, please press the Request to Speak button. I now call upon Dr. Tan Yueheng to speak and move the motion. Thank you. President, I move that the motion as printed on the agenda be passed. In 2023, there is a movie called In Broad Daylight. In the movie, there is mention that elderly people have the burden, and it makes us feel sad. Elderly people may not be our burden, instead it could be our productive force. How can we, from the economic level, cope with the challenges brought by an aging population? We should unleash the productivity of the elderly. These are all the reasons why I move this motion about elderly-friendly economy. The gist is to talk about how we can cope with population aging. We have to understand the needs of elderly people, and from infrastructure as well as consumption perspective, enhance the existing system, and we should explore the new commercial patterns brought by aging population. We should comprehensively build an elderly-friendly economy. On this, I have the following points to make. We should promote silver economy from the perspective of products. Silver economy is neglected by a lot of industries or sectors. Business operators may not be familiar with the consumption patterns of the elderly. In the future, when rolling out products, business operators should take into consideration the elderly. The government could perhaps hold expos on germ technology as well as smart living, or subsidize business operators to, in shopping malls or online platforms, introduce a dedicated session for elderly people in relation to the products they launch. There should be cross-sectoral collaboration to roll out products that cater to the needs of the elderly. For example, fast food chain restaurant could explore using their production line, roll out health supplements or soft meals for elderly people with swallowing difficulties. Also, we should take into consideration how to provide convenience to the elderly. And this can bring business opportunities to different industries. Also, we should promote pension finance and enhance the financial security of the elderly. In an international magazine, there is mention that elderly people have saved up a lot of money. However, they are used to saving money instead of spending money. So there is a huge potential to the silver economy. We should think about their financial management ability. We should offer them more sense of security. We should offer them insurance products covering their healthcare needs. We should roll out silver products to enrich or their choices. We should also enhance the 3 plans in relation to the annuity plan, and we should allow people to pay for the annuity starting from the age of 50, so that when they retire, they have enough saving to enhance their quality of life. The government should also allow elderly people to use their property in the Greater Bay Area as collateral for mortgage. There should also be different investment strategies. There should be a better portfolio. For example, there should be different MPF schemes and introduce products with higher investment returns. There should be different investment products for elderly people. Also, we should unleash the potential labor force of the elderly. For the elderly, some of them, they are still very physically fit to work and they have good work experience. We should make good use of these people. In relation to this, the government should work with social organizations to set up silver center and match jobs for these people. Also, we should protect elderly people's right to be employed. We should encourage those with the conditions to start their business, and there should be tax concessions for them for those who want to start their business. There should also be a flexible mechanism in place. For example, they can work for 4 days and rest for 3 days a week. For a lot of organizations in the private sector, the retirement is 60. However, for MPF scheme, the retirement age is 65 years. So the government should encourage extending the retirement age. Also, the government should encourage lifelong learning for elderly people. We should promote the idea of elderly people who are worthy in our society and enhance their status. We should encourage elderly people to receive training and so that they could be prepared to join the workforce. Also, there should be training in relation to information technology as well as communications technology to help elderly people to cope with the changes and adapt to the changes. Also, there should be silver standards in relation to redevelopment and development, as well as from the procurement perspective and from the perspective of consumption. There should be more that we can do. We should have quality assurance for different products which meet the international standards. In the Greater Bay Area, there should be a standard that we create in relation to silver economy and silver products. Silver economy should account for a certain percentage of our GDP. Perhaps we don't have an indicator in this regard yet. However, from the economic development perspective, there's a need for us to come up with an indicator. In the mainland, the indicator is 7%. By 2035, it will reach 10%. Considering that people aged 65 or above will account for about 1/3 of population in Hong Kong, then the silver economy should account for 10% of our GDP. We should adopt the same indicator adopted by the mainland. President, I look forward to listening to the insights to be offered by different members. Thank you.
Mr. Michael LUK, President, I rise to speak in support of Dr. Tan Yueheng's motion of tackling population aging and fostering an elderly-friendly economy. Now, other than improving the retirement protection, the silver employment is also one of the policies around the world. There are many jurisdictions that are tapping the human resources. The State Council has the plan for the development of national undertakings for the aged. There should be exploration of opportunities for the elderly employment. Hong Kong is facing an aging population. According to the government statistics, in 2021, the elderly population will rise from 1.5 million to 2.7 million in 2046. There's going to be 30%, 1 in 3, are elderly people. According to the statistics, the participation rate among the elderly people is lower than the 30% in Singapore. Many senior citizens said that they don't have enough savings. After retirement, they really want to continue working. So given the manpower shortage, the government should identify more resources from the elderly and unleash their potential. The government should help the elderly get back into the workforce to achieve a sense of worthiness. A lot of policies have been rolled out for those 65 and above. There is the OALA of 4,195. Of course, this is subject to the asset requirements for a couple. It should be no more than $13,000 and an asset of $60,000. But as the life expectancy is increasing, many elderly cannot live out their retirement years just on their savings, and they very much hope that they would be able to hold down a job, albeit on a part-time basis, to earn a little bit more money instead of living, struggling to get by. But many elderly people are saying that if they hold down a job, they will stand to lose the assistance, and they, in some cases, they would negotiate with the employers to earn a lower salary in order to remain eligible to the allowance. And in some cases, the elderly people just can't be bothered, and we stand to lose a lot of manpower resources. So for the OALA, the income and asset restriction can be relaxed, or the calculation can be separated. Now, even if they go beyond the threshold, they should still be eligible on a pro rata basis, the OALA. The sense of security and sense of worthiness are the common, very much the consensus. We hope that the elderly people will be able to join the workforce and achieve their self-worth. Between retirement and work, there should be choices available to them. And I'm glad that the re-employment policy has been implemented to benefit those who are above the age of 60. And I hope that there would be more assistance to help these people to get back into the workforce. Given the tight manpower resources, I hope the administration will consider all the resources and allow the employers to extend the retirement age of the employees. And the MPF contribution should be revamped, and this is part of my suggestions before. As we all know, the senior citizens are having a wealth of experience. They understand the work culture, and they have a lot of experience to pass on, and this is going to be good for the companies. The government should put together or put in place the right policy to educate the retirees, for them to understand the Hon TAN and also all the rest of the important elements.
Secretary for Commerce and Economic Development. President, I thank Dr. TAN Yueheng for moving this motion. I also thank Mr. Michael Luk for his amendment. It gives us a chance to listen to members' views and suggestions on coping with the aging population and developing the silver economy. Dr. TAN Yueheng's motion points out that in order to better cope with the challenges brought about by aging, the government should adopt a multi-pronged approach to build an elderly-friendly economy, including promoting the optimization of industrial structure, facilitating the development of the elderly care industry and silver technology, and attaching importance to the development and utilization of elderly human resources so as to strengthen the silver economy and enhance social well-being. The HKSAR government fully agrees. With the continuous rise of Hong Kong's aging population, the CNSD predicts that the number of persons aged 65 or above will increase from 1.65 million in 2023 to 2.67 million in 2043. While such proportion out of the total population will increase from 22.8% in 2023 to 35% in 2043. By then, more than one-third of Hong Kong's population will be elderly, signifying substantial market potential. Given the rapid expansion of the silver market, there is growing demand for products and services catering to the elderly. Developing new products and services to meet the needs of the elderly will help enhance their quality of life and also generate business opportunities. The government attaches great importance to the development of the silver economy and the silver market. In the 2023 policy address, the Chief Executive first announced the establishment of an advisory panel on silver economy by the CADB, pooling experts of different fields to discuss in depth the development of silver economy and propose recommendations. Established in February 2024, the panel has convened 2 meetings and discussed how to promote the development of products and services catering for the elderly, as well as providing suggestions on injecting economic impetus to relevant sectors. Having considered the advisory panel's views, the Chief Executive announced in the 2024 policy address that the working group on promoting silver economy would be set up and led by the Deputy Chief Secretary for Administration, implementing measures in the following 5 areas. 1. Boosting silver consumption. Working with sectors to foster elderly-friendly consumption and encourage incorporation of silver economy elements into business, for example, offering discounts and protecting the rights of elderly consumers. 2. Developing the silver industry. Promoting marketization and industrialization of products catering to the elderly by consolidating funding resources to support products provision and market expansion. 3. Promoting quality assurance of silver products. Promoting the certification of products catering to the elderly and align the standards with the mainland and overseas. 4. Enhancing silver financial and security arrangements, assisting the elderly in making proper financial arrangements and strengthening financial security. It includes promoting retirement financial planning products offered by the Hong Kong Mortgage Corporation Limited and providing investor education for the elderly. And 5. Unleashing silver productivity. Unleashing the productivity of elderly through retraining, re-employment, and other measures. The working group was established in November 2024, 2 meetings were convened. Besides the chairman, that is the Deputy Secretary for Administration, and myself as the Vice Chairman, other members include the Secretary for Labour and Welfare, Secretary for ITI, Secretary for Financial Services and the Treasury, and the Secretary for Health. Representatives of other bureaus or departments may be invited to discuss related work on a need basis. Currently, the working group is working tirelessly to formulate measures to develop the silver economy. In the 2 months since its establishment, it has been actively collaborating with the business sector and various stakeholders about the implementation of various measures. We are pleased to see the enthusiastic response from the business sector. Include, for example, the Chinese Manufacturers Association of Hong Kong has offered free admission to elderly people at the 58th Hong Kong Brands and Products Expo. The silver consumer discount was also offered to senior citizen cards holders. Also, the Hong Kong Council for Social Service provides support to the government to implement our silver economy policy. It has formulated the guidelines for care food standard for the elderly people's dietary need. Last week, during the anti-chamber exchange session, we have exchanged views with members on developing the silver economy. In the next few months, the working group will implement other measures and launch initiatives once they are ready. President, I and my colleagues will first listen to members' views on the motion, and we will give a consolidated response during the concluding remarks. Thank you.
Mr. Sheng Hai Long. Thank you, Mr. Deputy. I'm grateful to Dr. Tan Yueheng for moving this motion in tackling population aging. As the healthcare is improving, the life expectancy has been improving. That the aging demographics is getting really serious. According to the Census and Statistics Department, by 2043, 1/3 of the population is elderly. It goes to show that we are on the cusp of fast reaching an aging society. So we have to ponder how, in the coming 1 or 2 decades, roll out measures to safeguard the quality of life for the elderly, and also to make sure that they're connected with the community by taking part in activities. Given these inevitable social changes, I urge the administration to make preparation for the coming of silver economy and to help them accumulate wealth. The State Council has put together the plan for the development of national undertakings for the aged and elderly care. And this is a state-level policy paper. It marks the beginning of the Silver Age. And this is also a source of reference for Hong Kong. We can certainly reference the mainland experience and formulate the right policies for Hong Kong. In order to rise to the challenges, I'd like to put forward 3 recommendations. First, we should reference overseas experience to put forward policies. We have been promoting new quality production forces, and there is an American company that is headquartered in Central, and it is a company involved in gerontech economy. It is serving 130 million people ranging in age between 40 and 100 to help them to enhance their sense of worthiness. They have online service and offline service. They're offering courses like calligraphy, sports, 八段锦, yoga and piano, and offline they're also taking the participants to different countryside to learn martial arts and so on. And this is also a mode to enhance the sense of worthiness. And this is a change of lifestyle. And they have 130 million registered users. They are encouraging the elderly to take part in community activities and to improve the wellness and well-being on the part of the senior folks. And they are advocating new lifestyle now for the elderly. We hope that the government should have a paradigm shift and encourage the elderly population to be exposed to new things, so that in the twilight years they would maintain active aging. We should break down the old-fashioned mindset about retirement. We should see retirement as a beginning of new opportunities. With all the right policy, we hope that more old people would be able to face the new challenges with confidence and embrace new challenges. Third, we should support the digital needs and to help them guard against the cyber security risks. We should bridge the digital divide. There should be more anti-deception measures for the elderly. The elderly population is not sufficiently digital literate. We should help them in this regard. Finally, I urge the government to face up to the challenges arising from the elderly population so that we would be able to have a more inclusive and the elderly-friendly society. With these words, I support Dr. Tan's motion and the amendment. Mr. Gary Chen. Thank you, Mr. Deputy. By 2046, those aged 60 and above would take up 36% of the total population. 2046 is just 12 years away. And given this change. We are facing a lot of challenges. Of course, this also means a lot of opportunities in terms of silver economy. And I do think we should talk about the age across the board. If you look at the European Union, they have 3 types of elderly population. The first one is those working elderly. Second, the retirees. And the third are the elderly people who need care and attention. So it doesn't necessarily mean to say that being old means care has to be given. And I think we should adopt this European idea. We do have the idea that upon retirement, you will be abandoned by society because you are no longer needed. And nothing can be further from the truth. There are so many elderly people who are very agile, and they're far more agile and active than all of us here. So there are so many people in the community that are providing activities and opportunities to study and also to work for the elderly folks. This is precisely what we are talking about. We should tap into the silver economy. Now, when we talk about silver economy, we tend to think of the need to provide services to them. In fact, in a way, we are looking upon the elderly people as a burden on society, and this is a wrong idea. As silver economy develops, we can create more and more opportunities, job opportunities for these retirees. There is a saying that if there is an elderly person, it's like having some treasure. And there are many silver-haired people who like to go back to the workforce, and they can pass on their wealth experience to the subordinates. And this is something that should be supported. Now, coming back to this topic, silver economy or silver consumption, as the Secretary said, we'd like to earn money from them. The key thing is to make sure that they are willing to spend. And there are many elderly people in the community that the elderly may have their own property, but they are not living comfortably. These people are asset rich, but they are not sufficiently rich in the day-to-day life, so they have to struggle to make ends meet. So we have to make sure that they are willing to spend. Now, other than the security net for the elderly people, we should also help the silver-haired people to be willing to spend their money. Or they can have a full-time or part-time job so that they would face the future with confidence and they would be prepared to consume. Now, if they tighten their belt and are not willing to spend, you cannot begin to talk about silver economy. I understand the government is facing fiscal deficit and we should manage our costs prudently. But I don't think we should slash the benefits for the elderly just because we have the deficit. We should spend where we should. We should respect the fact that the elderly people have contributed most of their life to Hong Kong. And this is a manifestation of our prosperity. With these words, I support the motion and the amendment.
Mr. Lam Chun-sing, thank you. I thank Dr. Tan Yueheng for this motion. I'll focus on talking about the labor force of the elderly. We don't want our elderly people aged 70 and 80 who are still working. However, a lot of elderly people, they would like to get a job. Apart from taking care of their grandchildren, they might want to take up a part-time job or have a job with flexibility. However, in the local job market, it's not common to have elderly people working. I agree that we should promote the labor force of the elderly. So the government should provide incentives to the private sector or enterprises to hire elderly people to take care of their needs. Also, age discrimination is a concern. A lot of elderly people said they meet the requirements for certain job positions. However, employers might imply that they do not want to hire them because of their old age. Currently, there isn't a legislation to ban age discrimination. Even with evidence, the relevant authority can only give reminders to employers. Look at Japan, South Korea, or the UK. There are legislations concerning age discrimination. However, these legislations aren't posing an adverse impact on the economy, so it shows that we can enact our own legislation. The government should encourage employers that elderly people should be treated equally in the workforce or job market. Also, we are seeing imported labor. In different industries, we have local workers who are at an old age. Perhaps employers should see whether there are job applications from people aged 65 or above instead of importing foreign labor. We should strike a balance between importing foreign labor and encouraging elderly people to work. Some elderly people may have to travel to different districts to work, and transportation can be costly for them. For those aged 60 to 64, every month it costs them about $1,000 to transport to their workplace. We have the $2 scheme for elderly people, so elderly people actually don't have to spend so much, and a lot of them, they don't mind going to another district to work, especially those aged 60 to 64. I understand that the government is reviewing the $2 scheme. When the government reviews the scheme, it should take into consideration the needs of the elderly people who need to travel to different districts to work, to minimize the impact or discourage elderly people to go to work. In the previous policy address, it was said that employers who make MPF contributions for employees aged 60 above, they can get some waivers in relation to their profits tax. I hope that the Working Group on Promoting Circular Economy can release the progress of their work to enhance the employment protection for elderly people. I so submit. I speak in support of the motion. Mr. Jeffrey Lam, Deputy President. Aging population is a huge challenge that we are facing. By 2039, people aged 65 or above will account for 30% of our local population. The economic transformation will see high expenditure on healthcare and other sectors. However, at the same time, silver economy sees huge potential. We have to seize this opportunity and use innovative ways to satisfy the needs of the elderly and inject new impetus to the local economy. As we see longer lifespan of our people, our elderly people are not just relying on us for help. Instead, they are also those with spending power. The elderly in Hong Kong, they have huge savings. They care about traveling, their health, and they are willing to spend money. They can be the strong foundation for us to build a high-end silver economy. We face challenges in terms of Hong Kong people going to the north to spend. We cannot stop people from going to the mainland. So we should think about how to keep the silver-haired group in Hong Kong to spend. We should adopt a targeted approach to roll out silver products as well as silver entertainment to keep them here. For example, there should be activities targeting elderly people, including hiking, in-depth tours. There should be social events for elderly people so that they can enjoy different entertainment activities here. They can, through these events, meet new friends and also spend money. We can also roll out consumption vouchers as well as discounts for the elderly. We should promote German technology products to create business opportunities for the silver economy market. There should also be business opportunities in the GBA as well as in the Belt and Road Initiative or countries. There should be healthcare schemes to be developed with the mainland to attract people or the elderly to come to Hong Kong to enjoy these services and enhance Hong Kong's competitiveness. Health is crucial. Elderly people may have to spend a lot on healthcare or medical services. However, with technology, it will help lessen the financial burden of the government. In relation to healthcare services, there could be more equipment in Hong Kong. For example, there should be health monitoring devices to help elderly people monitor in real time their health conditions. This can help lessen the burden on our healthcare system as well as expenditure. This will also provide room for development for INT enterprises. In recent years, we see that the government has been adopting a rather pessimistic or passive way in promoting the healthcare schemes in Hong Kong. For example, in the Wine and Dine Festival, I saw at the entrance a bus, and on the bus there is an ad saying that drinking will lead to cancer. The truth is that we need to strike a balance. A little bit of drinking shouldn't be too harmful for our bodies. It's only with binge drinking that will hurt our bodies and health. We should promote balanced diet as well as exercise to help elderly people care more about their health. Silver economy is a way for us to tackle population aging. It is also an important direction we should take in restructuring our economy. I believe that if the business sector as well as all the other industries work together, we can definitely make silver economy a new growth point, and we can be a pioneer in the world in this regard. I so submit. Thank you. Dr. Chow Meng Kong. Population aging is inevitable for us. Over the past 50 years, we had 180,000 elderly people. In 2021, we saw 1.45 million people. Currently, 1 out of 5 elderly people are elderly people in Hong Kong, and by 2039, 1 out of 3 local people will be elderly people. So this will cost a lot of money, and we will see a significant drop in taxpayers, and this will pose a huge burden on our public finances. We have to convert this into opportunity. Over the past few decades, the major people who spend money will become people aged 65 or above. These baby boomers, they were the major group of people who helped to build our economy. The government can definitely convert risks into opportunities and discover the potential that Silver Hair Group can bring to us. I speak in support of Dr. TAN Yueheng's motion, and I have the following 3 suggestions to foster an elderly-friendly economy. First, we should encourage elderly people to save. Currently, we have the Retire 3 that includes the annuity plan. Taxpayers can apply for the annuity plan by paying $60,000. This can help us foster silver economy. According to information, there is an increase in relation to the number of people who apply for annuity. In 2019, there were 115,000 people. By 2023, there were 195,000. So we saw an increase of 70%. So people are getting more acceptable to the annuity plan. However, the mortgage plan as well as the insurance plan, which are part of the Retire 3, not a lot of people opt for these plans, especially the reverse mortgage plan. There were only 124 applications, less than 30 a year. We should rely less on the social welfare plan and encourage people to get Retire 3. We should roll out tax concessions and offer incentives for people to get silver products. For example, we should expand Retire 3 to tax concessions. For those who get the relevant investment projects, they can have a tax deduction of $60,000 per year to help elderly people accumulate wealth and help them lessen their reliance on the public healthcare system. There should also be more carers in our society. We are facing an acute shortage in relation to the relevant talent, and a lot of places in the world are facing the same problem. We have a low birth rate, and at the same time we have serious aging population problem. We should not just sit here and wait. Take Hong Kong as an example. In 2021, subsidized care homes, health workers shortage is 17%, and the latest manpower projection shows that for occupational therapists and other types of therapists, we are facing a shortage. In the mainland, different educational institutions are recruiting students to join their nursing program. We should also seize the opportunity to encourage the University of Applied Sciences to create relevant programs to nurture up talents. We should also build our research base to lead the development of silver economy. Lastly, on silver products as well as the relevant accreditation system and standards, we should work with the Greater Bay Area. We should bring in startups to the Greater Bay Area so that they can help build a new growth point. Thank you.
Mr. Andrew Lam. Thank you, Deputy President. Aging population is a common issue that all countries in the world face. An aging population is usually considered a burden on the healthcare system. However, depending on how the government set its policies, the elderly population can be a treasure. I thank Dr. TAN Yueheng for moving this motion so that we can share new ideas on how we can utilize the potential brought about by the silver population to boost our economy. Many elderly people, especially the baby boomers, have amassed a large amount of assets, including real properties. According to the survey, it shows that on average, elderly people in Hong Kong has on average 5 million Hong Kong dollars in assets with 1 million in liquidity. 70% of them are cash and cash deposits. 20% are security deposits. More than 80% of elderly people have their own property. Their monthly spending is about 14,000 Hong Kong dollars on average. It shows that they have the means and will to spend money. However, many elderly people choose to save up their money and pursue frugality. Now, according to this survey, some 20% of the elderly people have established an estate will. 40% haven't. Now, if that is the case, more than 60 billion Hong Kong dollars in assets would be frozen and unutilized in the future. Now, in Asian Pacific region, for example, in Singapore, the Singaporean government has been encouraging the elderly citizens to set up permanent power of attorney. Elderly people can easily set up a permanent power of attorney without the witnessing by a doctor or a lawyer. Now, this can greatly enhance the creativity and liquidity in society. Now, when the assets is in lockdown, elderly people would have worries spending money. So by reassuring the elderly people and keeping the liquidity, elderly people can enjoy a greater sense of security and they can enjoy the life to the full by spending more money. It will also boost the silver economy. Over the past few years, the government has mentioned several tools, has emphasized on the 3 pieces of instruments for retirement, that is deferred annuity and reverse mortgage and elderly mortgage. However, only 14% of the elderly population understands what a reverse mortgage is. So in terms of collaborating and harnessing the power of the markets, the government needs to work harder. Now, with the government's reassurances, I believe more elderly people will be willing to join the fray. Now, silver market investment is huge in the world. The silver market has a potential which is on par with other markets. According to a world survey, the potential of the silver market in Singapore ranks number 1 in the world. Hong Kong ranks the 4th. Now, in a few years' time, the Singaporean silver market will reach a size of some 570 billion Hong Kong dollars. Now, with the changes in time, many elderly people have changed their mindset. They attach more importance to healthcare and enjoyment in life. Everyone in the world is eyeing after this market, and we can't lag behind. The government must work harder in collaboration with accreditation body in terms of, say, for example, the food industry, to harness the standard in Hong Kong and the scale of the market in the Bay Area to utilize this internal and external circle in silver economy so as to boost the economy in both Hong Kong and the GBA. I support the motion and the amendment. Mr. Chen Xiu-hung. Deputy President, elderly people aged 65 or above, the proportion will increase from 23% in 2023 to 36% in 2043. At the same time, the labor force participation rate has dropped from 25% in 2023 to about 25% in 2043. Now, the aging population imposed pressure on the healthcare system and the economy and the welfare system. Now, on the other hand, it will impose a vicious cycles on our economy because of the lack of investment. Now, we need to build an elderly-friendly economy and reinvent our industries to ensure that we can find the opportunities out of these challenges. The 2024 policy address mentioned the rapid growth of the silver economy market. Demand for elderly-friendly products and services are on the rise. By developing and improving elderly products and services, we can bring about economic gain while improving the livelihood of elderly people. Now, the working group on promoting silver economy has been established to pursue 5 directions, including boosting silver consumption, developing the silver industry, promoting quality assurance of silver products, enhancing silver financial and security arrangements, and unleashing silver productivity. Silver economy means the accumulation of the economic activities, including providing services and products to the elderly people and help them plan for their finance. It also covers the middle to old age people, middle or early old age people. Silver economy doesn't only mean tapping the highly lucrative silver market. The idea is to allow the elderly people, regardless of their wealth, can enjoy the fruits of development and enjoy a good quality of life. Now, I suggest the government urge it to encourage the industries to improve the products in the markets. For example, the government can take the lead in standardizing the soft meal or care meal for elderly people, and also the technologies adopted in photography in cameras can be used for helping the elderly people with shaky hands. The elderly care industry is the pillar of the silver economy. Now, our elderly care industry is very sophisticated. However, because of the limitation of land and resources, the cost is huge. Now, according to the opinion of the State Council on improving elderly care, there should be a one-stop platform for elderly services in the GBA. This is a huge opportunity for us. Now, by tapping into this market, operators in Hong Kong can lower the operational costs and enlarge the scale of the operation, at the same time providing more options for elderly people. Now, I suggest the government to use the cross-boundary elderly care, healthcare, and elderly care systems to address the issue of elderly healthcare in Hong Kong. Now, pilot zones should be set up in mainland cities in the Bay Area with a mature elderly healthcare system to serve as a demonstration zone. Now, in Hong Kong, there is a huge gap between demand and supply. The waiting time is long. We need to provide more community-based and home-based elderly care services. The government should enhance investments in elderly care and enhance the coverage of daycare centers for the elderly people. INT technologies should be harnessed to provide more support for aging at home. Now, with the advance of AI, we have a lot of smart monitoring device and health management system available in the market. We can introduce these technologies to enhance the efficiency of our healthcare system. Now, elderly people can be producers as well. Now, there are a lot of elderly people who are still able to work. We urge the government to tap the silver labor force and unleash the labor force, and also elderly people. Volunteer service for the elderly people should be enhanced. They should be invited to care teams and let them contribute to society. This will also unleash the other the economic potential of the other family members. Thank you. Mr. Robert Lee. Thank you, Deputy President. I support the motion moved by Dr. Tan Yueheng and Mr. Michael Luk's amendments. An aging population is the challenge for many economies. Now, with the population aging, there will be a high demand for long-term care, and the burden on healthcare will enhance. Now, according to the Asian Pacific Silver Market Potential Index, Hong Kong ranks 4th in the world and 2nd in the Asia Pacific region. It shows that we have great potential in the area. As an international financial center, in the development of elderly finance and harnessing the financial sector to promote developments of the silver economy, we have great strengths. Now, since the launch of the first batch of silver bond, every year there is a new tranche of silver bond launched. Now, the silver population is enthusiastic about the silver bond. Every year there is oversubscription. However, in recent times, the silver bonds are only limited to subscription by institutional investors. Now, I urge the HKMA to launch a tranche of silver bond for the retail investors. However, my call was not heeded. Now we need to expand the coverage of retail silver bonds to provide another options for investors. Now, in issuing securities with a large denomination, we should set aside a part for the silver population to boost the silver economy. Now, this will speed up the development of quality assurance of silver products and the other areas. Now, to develop the silver economy, the working group on promoting silver economy was set up. Now, I suggest that the working group make reference to the guiding opinions issued by the central government. For example, developing more retirement financial products for the market and establish a comprehensive retirement finance system, and establish an elderly-friendly financial system, as well as encouraging the influx of more retirement fund. I also suggest the government enhancing the education for the silver population to equip the elderly population against scams. Now, according to a report, by 2043, the amount of the elderly population aged 65 or above will account for 35% of the population. Now, the government must enhance wealth management knowledge or wealth management education starting from secondary school. More people should be encouraged to purchase annuity policies and so on. The scope of MPF investment products should be broadened, and the system should be made more flexible for the employees. The employees should be allowed to opt for investing their accrued benefits in the private market to lower the cost of the MPFA. Now, the silver economy has great potential, and there are lots of opportunities. As an international financial center, we need to keep innovating our retirement financial products. The government should consider the needs of elderly investors. And for those who are still working, we need to prepare them for their retirements. Thank you.
Mr. Chen Pui-leung. Thank you, Mr. Deputy. I thank Dr. Tan Yueheng for moving this motion. Hong Kong has one of the longest life expectancy. In 2046, 1 in 3 people is elderly. The aging demographics is posing challenges. It also brings with it opportunities. So the government should make changes to its mindset and policy. The elderly needs are becoming more personalized. Many elderly do have savings, and they have good physique upon retirement. In terms of healthcare, sports, travel, that there is a demand for services in these areas, and the changing consumption pattern is bringing about boundless business opportunities. The government has set up the working group on promoting silver economy. I think the government can develop in the following areas. First, pension finance. The government should have regard to the market needs and collaborate with various sectors to enhance the quality of elderly services and to bring about growth areas. This is very much a trend, and the government should help the middle-class people to look for communities that are suitable for them. And if the quality is good enough, then the communities would be able to thrive. The government should also work alongside the insurance companies to develop certain annuity and insurance products so that the elderly people with the insurance coverage would be able to reside in these communities. The government can also offer tax incentives for the buyers of these insurance package to encourage more people to retire in the mainland. The silver bond has gone down well in previous exercises. This is low risk. It comes with steady returns, stable returns. The fiscal deficit is very serious. The government can be more proactive and aggressively roll out silver bonds with longer tenure and higher yield. The government can also encourage the banks and insurance companies to develop the annuity products or the reverse mortgage products to provide investment opportunities to the elderly people. I'd like to point out that for the silver economy, we should not be restricted to the elderly alone. For the younger population, we should prepare them for their retirement, in particular those between 35 and 45. They've been in the workforce for some time. They do have accumulated some savings. They can make provisions for their retirement. More publicity should be mounted for this segment of the population for them to prepare for their retirement years. And more products should be made available to them, and that would enable the silver economy to achieve better effect. Healthcare is dear to the heart of the elderly. We should deploy technology in this area. Earlier, together with Mr. Tan Yueheng, work alongside the dental school and the insurance company to open up the community dental examination. All we need to do is to have a laptop to capture the dental condition of the elderly. Within a matter of minutes, we would be able to tell the elderly people the state of health of the dental condition. And I hope that the government can work with more IT companies to deploy technology to help the senior folks to manage their own health and to enhance the quality of life, and also to boost the consumption and economic development. With these words, I support Dr. Tan's motion and Mr. Michael Luk's amendment. Mr. Frankie Yik, Mr. Deputy, the population is getting older. Those at the age of 65 will have 1.57 million, taking up 21% of the total population. In 2046, going to be climbing to 36%. So the elderly people will be the cornerstone of the consumption group. The Liberal Party is proposing a lot of recommendations here. Other than the disabled, those 65 and above will enjoy the $2 travel scheme. Initially, it covered the MTR and the franchise buses, and now this has covered pretty much all the transport services. According to government statistics, 1.4 million senior citizens aged 60 and above are using this service, and this is helping the elderly people to get connected with society. But for those wheelchair-bound elderly people, with the assistance of the MTR staff, they would be able to use the MTR, and the franchise buses are also providing the low-platform buses. But these are not point-to-point services, and buses can only accommodate 1 or 2 wheelchairs. It's only on a first-come, first-served basis. During the peak period, the wheelchair elderly will have to wait for a couple of buses before they can board them. And it is really inconvenient. As the elderly population is increasing, there may be 1 or 2 elderly wheelchair-bound people or family members. The government has been encouraging the taxi operators to provide taxi-accessible taxis, but the demand is outstripping supply. In some cases, the taxi drivers will have to spend quite a bit of time to accommodate the wheelchair-bound passengers. There is no incentive for them to do so. The supply cannot meet the demand, and there are some unlicensed vehicles that are taking wheelchair-bound passengers. They are putting the lives of the passengers at risk. The government should really clamp down on this practice. The government should also increase the availability of public transport that can accommodate wheelchair users. As the rail system is expanding, the red minibuses have limited room for survival. We have 900 or so red minibus licenses. Only 700 are on the road, and there are a couple of hundred that are not operating in Hong Kong. Rehab buses are not readily available. I urge the administration to allow the red minibuses to be converted or repurposed into rehab buses to meet the shortfall in demand. Other than public transport, whether the senior citizens are prepared to spend would depend very much on their economic status or financial status. Many age 60 or above do have earning capacity. Like the minibus sector, many drivers are aged 65 and above. But many of them, they rather work less hours in order to make them eligible for the OALA. Hong Kong people enjoy the longest life expectancy, 83 and 88 for male and female, respectively. Many people would like to earn a little bit more in order to save for rainy days. The Liberal Party urges the government to review the welfare policy for those aged 65 and above, so as to unleash their ability to make up for the shortfall in manpower and also to boost the silver economy. With these words, I support the motion and the amendment. Dr. Loy Kwok, I thank Dr. Tan for moving the amendment and Mr. Luk for moving the amendment. Elderly-friendly means we should improve the living environment and the application of drone tech to improve the quality of life for the senior citizens and to create a better society for them. The mainland has a lot of experience that we can reference, and they are creating new impetus. The State Council in 2024 has published the opinion paper regarding the development of silver economy and to provide more business opportunities in the elderly-friendly economy. And there are also standards and they were published nationwide regarding the elderly-friendly measures. In Hong Kong, the measures for the elderly seem to be rather fragmented. We are facing this harsh reality that we're facing aging demographics, and there are many elderly people who are living alone or living with an elderly couple. The waiting list for the old folks' homes is really as long as 14 months. And this is a dire situation. I support the motion that the administration should adopt a multi-pronged approach to create an elderly-friendly economy, to promote silver economy, to boost the well-being of the elderly. The BPA is very concerned about this. In 2023, we published a report on elderly, we made 5 major recommendations, including the formulation of an elderly blueprint, which should coordinate all the various policy bureaus to put forward policies for the elderly. And in Northern Metropolis, there should be centers to be built for those age 65. There should be fruit money without any means test. There should be $2 travel scheme, and the government should have a commitment in this regard. In 2024, we're glad to see that the government set up the working group on promoting silver economy, headed up by the DCS. And this covered silver consumption, silver industry, silver productivity, silver financial and security arrangements, and quality assurance of silver products. And there are 5 areas to promote the development there. Silver economy covers a broad spectrum, the daily commute, the home care, the leisure and entertainment, and this is really offering boundless potential. Whatever initiatives is adopted by the government, there should be proper arrangement should be put in place. Like if the government is to extend or the use of gerund technology, the government should make sure that the elderly people understand how it is used. The government should use the I&T fund to support the tertiary institutions and to develop the gerund tech products. And through the trial scheme, this can be applied to the lower stream. We have to make it affordable for the elderly people. The I&T fund for application in elderly care should be expanded to allow personal application by the elderly people to procure the gerund tech products. The government should devote more resources to provide a community network to make the gerund tech more popular and to achieve digital inclusion. All these measures are intertwined. We have to respect the elderly, care for the elderly, and support the elderly. There must be enduring commitment and tender loving care for them. With these words, I support the motion.
Mr. Benson Luk, Deputy President, I thank Dr. Tan Yueheng for the motion on tackling population aging and fostering an elderly-friendly economy. I also thank Mr. Michael Luk for the amendment. In Hong Kong, the expected lifespan has been ranked the top in the world, the average male and female lifespan are 88 and 82 years old, respectively. Also, we have the lowest birth rate in the world. We are facing challenges brought by population aging. According to statistics, people aged 65 or above increased 7.2 times from 1971 to 1.45 million. Also, according to the 2021 statistics, people aged 65 and above will account for 25% from 2021 to 36% by 2046. For the SAR government, the most direct challenge would fall into the high expenditure in the healthcare sector and social welfare sector. The 2023 spending increased to 32%, and the healthcare expenditure also doubled. Our elderly people today compared to elderly people in the past in terms of their knowledge as well as their physical condition have greatly improved. A lot of elders, they are still very smart and they have the ability to start a new life at their age. I believe with these, we can allow elderly people who want to contribute to our society to play up to their potentials. I have the following suggestions. A lot of the jobs are now digitalized and we make use of AI, so we don't need a lot of manual labor. Also, a lot of elderly people who retire, They have a very high educational qualification compared to those in the past. So I believe we can unleash the potential labor force of the elderly so that they can rely on themselves without putting a burden on the public expenditure, and at the same time they can contribute to our economy. I've talked to a social enterprise, and this enterprise have recruited some 30 housewives to work for them, and they help make Chinese dessert. This allow the women to work, and at the same time they help promote Chinese culture. And this enterprise has launched an online shop, and this shows the success of their business model. The founders of the social enterprise, when they founded the enterprise, they were at their 20s. So it shows that elderly and young people can work together to start a business. Also, we have a lot of knowledgeable elderly people nowadays, and a lot of them have the habit of saving money. They are in part of a comprehensive retirement plan, so they have huge potential. According to some statistics, for those who do not need social welfare, on average, they have $2.6 million of assets, and they spend about $15,000 a month. So the government should think about how to promote silver economy and promote the relevant products, and learn about how many elderly people need such products to encourage business operators to look for business opportunities. Also, there are lots of measures that take care of elderly people. This include the $2 scheme. I think this is a scheme that take care of the elderly people. For example, they can travel to Shenzhen for free. These measures can help elderly people to travel and ensure their well-being. This can also encourage them to spend money. Of course, we have to guard against abuse of this measure, but we can do this through administrative measures. I so submit. Thank you, Mr. Kwok Wai-keung. Thank you, Deputy President. I speak in support of Dr. Tan Yueheng's motion, as well as the amendment raised by Mr. Michael Luk. I thank Dr. Tan for moving this motion on tackling population aging and fostering an elderly-friendly economy. Aging population has been a topic discussed in Hong Kong for over a decade. In the past, the government has rolled out different measures to cope with population aging. There is always room for improvement, however, so we have to continue to work to cope with the challenges. When we discuss aging population, a lot of times we find it a very heavy topic, and some misunderstand this as a burden. This motion allows us to think positively. Silver economy, elderly care industry, as well as silver labor force can be an opportunity for us. The SAR government has set up the working group on promoting silver economy, and it has proposed a number of studies and preparation work. I want to say a few things. First, a lot of elderly people, they do not have an income, but they have an asset. We always talk about the elderly poverty line, and it cannot totally reflect the actual situation. We should help elderly people to adapt. We should think about their mindset and traditional thoughts. In the Chinese culture, we always think that saving is a virtue, and that they should save their property and asset for their children. So elderly people work very hard. We see a lot of such cases in our community. Some elderly people, they've worked hard for many years and they still try to save money, and we feel sad about this. We hope that elderly people can change their mindset. They should use their own lifelong saving. This is because we want them to spend their twilight years happily. We want them to have a satisfying life. We believe that reverse mortgage can be a help or support for them so that they can spend money on, for example, repair and maintenance works of their buildings. Since 2011, we only have about 7,936 applications for reverse mortgage. According to government information, it is estimated that people aged 65 or above who own one property, we have 660,000 people. So there is a low percentage of people applying for reverse mortgage. It could be because of their traditional mindset. It could also be the case that apart from their property, they still have a lot of savings, so they don't need the reverse mortgage. It is hoped that through publicity as well as extensive discussion, we can open up the minds of elderly people. We should also ensure the mental well-being of elderly people. They want to satisfy their needs only when they have a good mental well-being. As mentioned by some members, the $2 scheme can facilitate elderly people in traveling to different places. This helps them save money, and therefore they might be able to spend money on other things. I hope the government could factor this in. Some people think that the government is paying for the transportation fees for elderly people. So we think that we should subsidize elderly people in relation to the actual money they spend on transportation. Dr. Teck Shi-yun. According to the SAR government, by 2046, people aged 65 and above will reach 36% of the total population. This shows that we are facing a huge change in terms of our demographic structure, and there will be huge implications to our economy. Currently, in relation to preparing for tackling population aging, there aren't enough measures from the government. The support system cannot meet the actual needs. According to the latest studies of the Harvard University, it shows the statistics of 150 countries. Because of advanced medical development, it helps maintain the health of elderly people. This shows that we have to rethink the role of elderly people in our society, and we should more proactively plan for the relevant policies. In the face of population aging, I think we should focus on the health of elderly. If they are healthy, then it can lessen the burden on carers as well as the healthcare system. So we should help with the health management of the elderly to help them develop good lifestyle and prevent chronic illnesses. We should not just extend the longevity of the elderly. Instead, we should make their life more valuable. We should shorten the time for them to require the care of other people so that they can live and take care of themselves. We should keep our elderly people active through re-employment or through charitable events. We could invite their participation. A lot of elderly people should have the opportunity to take part in different events. For those who are willing to work, we should provide them with job training so that they have the new skill sets to offer their skills and services. With a healthier group of elderly people, we'll get them to spend. The government should seize the opportunity to foster silver economy. We should develop elderly care industry, silver technology, and pension finance. This will create job opportunities and at the same time offer elderly people with diverse products and services. Lastly, I would like to have the government think about the residential care home services and other types of support services. The supply cannot meet the demand currently. There should be more housing resources and other types of resources for elderly people. There should be more support for the carers so that we can allow the elderly people to develop healthily. Elderly people aren't our burden. Instead, they are valuable resources. They have rich life experience, professional knowledge, as well as wisdom. Our target is to build an inclusive and active, silver-friendly or elderly-friendly society. In the face of population aging, we should not be passive. Instead, we should proactively create an inclusive and better society. This is our responsibility as well as our opportunity. However, the government in tackling population aging lacks the proactiveness and forward-looking vision. There's a lack of development blueprint. If we aren't prepared to tackle population aging, the elderly people will face a hard time. So the government has to play a more active role to help Hong Kong build an elderly-friendly economy as well as a support system. It should be able to take care of our elderly people, and this can become a new growth impetus for us. Thank you.
Mr. Scott Leung. Thank you, Deputy President. Hong Kong has a serious problem of aging population. In the next 15 years, elderly population will account for more than 1/4 of our population. With the increase in size of the elderly population, the healthcare system faces more burden. Now we need to encourage elderly people to age in place by using current technology. Now, by developing technologies and developing the silver economy, not only can we improve the living quality of elderly people, but we can also boost the economy. However, these current technology products require huge upfront investment, so government support is very important. I've come into contact with a charitable organization. The organization has funded the research of a wheelchair for the elderly people, which can climb stairs. Elderly people who are wheelchair-bound can ascend or descend staircases on their own. Now, this will enhance the mobility of elderly people with mobility issues. Now, the idea was conceived in 2021. Support was received from the Hong Kong Science and Technology Park, but the remaining investment was paid out of the organization's own pockets. Now, over the past few years, the invention has been approved and accredited by the European Union and received numerous awards. In the end, the elderly people in Hong Kong were benefited. Now, over 500 reach-out services were provided by this organization to the elderly people. More than 500 trips to local attractions were provided to the elderly people. Now, earlier on in Lee Chun, because of the malfunctioning of elevators, many elderly people were homebound. Now, this volunteer group reached out to the elderly services to let them use their electric wheelchair to descend the staircases. It is a very meaningful thing. Now, but it shows the amount of upfront investment required to develop current technology products. Now, in the future, the government must launch more targeted subsidy scheme to help those with a good heart to invent current technology products. Now, the elderly friendliness of products are also important. A lot of products requires the users to have some basic knowledge about digital device, but it is a difficulty for many elderly people. Now, some platforms require the users to interface with the system by way of tablets or smartphones. Besides user-friendliness, there is a huge price tag difference. For example, smart capsule boxes which can remind elderly people to take their daily medicine. The prices vary from a few $100s to a few $1,000s. Now, the point is we need to help the elderly population select products with a competitive price and give them access to these products. Now, private organizations can rent or purchase current technology products at a discounted price. Can we set up a list for the organizations to choose? We can also encourage corporations to offer free trials of these products to the elderly people and gauge the feedback from them. Now, different organizations can be given different subsidies to purchase these products. The government can weigh in to ensure that the current technology products are sold at a competitive price. This will realize the vision of aging in place and make the silver economy value chain more comprehensive. Mr. Ring Kong. Deputy President, I thank Dr. Tang for moving his motion. There is a wave of ageism in the world. Hong Kong is also moving towards an aged population. This brings about challenges as well as opportunities for societies. However, there are lots that we need to review and improve in terms of our strategies. Last year, in my submission for the budget, I mentioned to the government that aging population will impact on government's policy measures, for example, labor policy and healthcare policy. The government must pay heed to the characteristics of our demography in policy formulation. Now, silver economy can be a point of breakthrough. However, healthcare and the silver economy are only mere facets of the entire issue. Now, we can't just look at the elderly population as potential consumers. Now, Andrew Scott, a famous economist, mentioned in his famous work the concept of an evergreen society. Now, the other side of the coin of an aging society is an evergreen society. The economist suggests that everyone in society, including the young people, should start planning for their retirement since a young age. Now, the Singaporean government invited Andrew Scott many years ago to conduct a study on forging an evergreen society. Many recommendations arising from the report were implemented by the Singaporean government. For example, encouraging elderly employment, establishing a multi-generational family, and also creating an elderly-friendly community. Now, looking at our trend, longevity and ageism will be the inevitable trend. To reap the bonus from this, we need to have consistent policies and the support of the public. On a policy level, we have to admit that there is much room for adjustments in terms of our attitude towards the elderly population. We always stigmatize the elderly population as dependent on others. We have neglected the rich experience they have accumulated in their lifetime. Now, since this trend is inevitable, a well-prepared evergreen society should combine the strengths of between the vitality of young people and the experience of the elderly population. We have to think hard on whether we should defer retirement or better utilize the silver labor force to enhance the sense of belonging of elderly people to society. So we need to find out what are the positions most ideal to be filled by the elderly population. Now we have to acknowledge that the elderly people plays an important role in inheritance of knowledge and culture and traditions. If there is a platform where elderly people can be involved in, say, corporate development and community building, we can unleash the cultural, societal, and economic potential of the elderly population. Like other members rightly pointed out, the silver economy is, of course, very important. However, we are not digging deep enough. We need to change the attitude and mindset of the government and society. We need to change the label we give to the elderly people. We pride ourselves on being a society of longevity, but we need to improve the quality of life as well. As mentioned by the former U.S. President Robert Kennedy, we have to make our time in the world, on the earth count. Thank you. Dr. Zhao Xiuchong, Deputy President, Hong Kong has moved into an aging population. Now, by 2046, the population age 65 or above will account for 36% of the population. I support developing the silver economy and developing elderly-friendly products. These are not just mere business opportunities. It will also bring meaningful improvements to elderly people's quality of life. Now, the life expectancy for male and females in Hong Kong have risen to 81 and 88. So I'm worried that there is a lack of retirement protection for the working population. Now, besides the monthly MPF contribution, many employees don't have much saving each month. Many retirees don't have a lot of savings. Now, the so-called free retirement tools, that is the annuity schemes, reverse mortgage and policy reverse mortgage, are not something that the ordinary working people have. Now, we need to improve our retirement protection system. In the MPF system, there are limited choices, and the investment return is underwhelming. Many employees have suffered a lot of losses in the MPF accounts because of mishandling of the accounts. Now, we have been urging the MPFA to offer options with steady investment return and also MPF products linked with inflation or time deposit. We should explore these directions. The HMA and the MPFA have started a study earlier on. I look forward to the results of the study. Even for those with a higher earning, they face the same issue. Now, the last time when the contribution limit was adjusted was back in 2021. At the time, the median level of household income was $14,000. Now it has risen to $20,000. Now the cap is outdated. We need to revise the cap upwards promptly. And we need to adjust the lower limit of contribution as well. Now, the government's measures to make MPF contribution on behalf of the low-income group should be implemented as a means of protection. I hope these measures will be implemented soon. Deputy President, we can't just rely on MPF as the sole retirement protection. I agree with the motion that we need to forge an elderly-friendly economy and roll out more financial products targeting the silver consumers. They must come with low risk and steady investment return so as to offer a stable income for the elderly people. And one of the three retirement tools, Hong Kong annuity schemes, there were views that the design of the scheme is faulty. Inflation would erode the purchasing power of the applicants and policyholders. Now, there were views that if my suggestion was adopted, it would weaken the early return of the annuity scheme and weaken the competitiveness of the scheme. But that is not necessarily so. I hope the HKMC will launch more diversified financial products to provide more options to meet the population's needs. I so submit to support the motion and the amendment.
Mr. Stanley Lee. Mr. Deputy, I thank Dr. Tan for moving this motion so that we can have focused discussion on the aging population and explore how we should tackle the issue and let the elderly folks have a dignified life. And it's not an issue peculiar to Hong Kong. In the mainland, they're facing similar challenges. With crisis comes opportunities. The aging population is paving the way for silver economy. President Xi is attaching importance to this. There are 4 insistence for silver economy to go high quality, and there should be good foundation laid. There should be industry developed for the high quality development, and there should be pension finance. There should be the right talent to support the development of silver economy. The State Council has also published the opinion paper which highlighted 25 different recommendations. The idea is to expedite the development of silver economy, to provide quality service so that the elderly people will be able to partake in the fruit of the development there. Hong Kong is also developing silver economy, the annuity scheme, the reverse mortgage are cases in point. The CDB has set up the working group on promoting silver economy, roping in different experts to look into the development of different areas in order to unleash the potential. According to the working group's objective, in the beginning part of this year, the direction will be mapped out earlier to let the public understand the benefits of silver economy. There are some measures introduced in terms of tourism. For instance, according to a media report, last year, 16 trillion benefits have been brought about. The elderly people attach importance to quality, and it is an important element in the provision of service. They do enjoy history-rich travel itineraries, and their elderly tourism has galvanized the development of tourism. I did mention before that at the present moment, MPF is the security net. The MPF started in the year 2000. Those between 65 and 80, their MPF holdings are not high enough. It's doubtful whether this would be able to support their retirement years. Now, given the tight manpower situation, we need the young old to supplement the manpower situation. How can we lure them back into the workforce? How can we make sure that they enjoy the rights like other jurisdictions? Elderly employment has become part of the policy initiative. They have the annuity ordinance and the Insurance Protection Act to make sure the proper development there. This is something that I think we can replicate. The silver economy offers boundless opportunities. If we can develop this well, we can export the services. If the elderly population is residing and acquiring property in the mainland, then I think we can provide high quality services and products across the boundary. In the GBA, the Hong Kong enterprises can seize the opportunity and introduce the sophisticated mindset and mode of operation and excel in this area. Thank you. Dr. Frankie An, Mr. Deputy, according to the government's projection, in 2046, those aged 65 and above would take up 36% of the total population. The graying population is posing unprecedented challenges, so it is inevitable that we have to build elderly-friendly society. Elderly-friendly means we should adapt the environment to suit the needs of the elderly, to facilitate the daily commute and social participation of the elderly, to improve their dignity. We can improve their home setting and create a safe, comfortable environment for the elderly people. According to the UN definition, 65 is the age to be defined as elderly. The elderly is suffering from a deterioration in their physical condition, but with improvement in healthcare, the lifespan is getting longer, 83 and 88 for men and women, respectively, compared with 30 years ago. We have seen a sharp increase. There are senior folks who are still in good physical condition, and then these vary. While creating elderly-friendly environment, we are witnessing the development of a silver economy. I'd like to talk about this in three different areas. First, the government is applying the I&T fund for application in elderly care to cover different general tech products. Many elderly people balk at the extraordinarily high price of these products, and many of these products are restricted to the old folks' homes, and no personal application would be entertained. According to 2021 census, those 65 and above, it is 1.45 million, and the working population is 210,000. 1 in 7 of the elderly people is not retired. In many parts of the world, they are unleashing the potential of the elderly workforce, and this is really helpful. Many retirees really would like to continue working, but they face ageism, they face severe competition, they face stigmatization. And I hope that the government will redouble its effort to encourage re-employment of the elderly. We should encourage the corporates to hire the elderly workers. The government should also encourage the enterprises to offer training for the elderly volunteers, for them to contribute to society continuously and to improve their self-worth. There should be efforts devoted to the elimination of ageism. There should be inclusiveness in the workplace. The government and the corporates have been trying to incorporate barrier-free access, but this is an area that is leaving a lot to be desired. Many senior folks are facing a lot of difficulties. I urge the government to use the fund associated with slope improvement work to retrofit elevators to facilitate access, day-to-day access on the part of the elderly. The SWD should also improve the services to provide escort medical consultation, meal delivery, to make sure that the elderly would have their needs met. The government should deploy gerontech, barrier-free access to create a better environment for the elderly people, so that every one of them would be able to live out their twilight years in dignity. Ms. Nixie Lam. Thank you, Mr. Deputy. I rise to support the motion according to 2022 figures. The age span, the lifespan is 87 and 83 for men and women respectively, and this would have some implications on the economic development. The elderly should not be regarded as a burden. They should be also regarded as a useful member of our community because they have the wisdom and experience that can be passed on. Now, for silver economy, there are better products available for the elderly. But now we're talking with better health care. Many elderly people are in good health condition. The crux of the silver economy is to identify and tap into the productivity of the elderly and turn this into a driving force. Now, we should allow elderly people to start their own business. They have a lot of experience, and they would have an advantage compared with younger people, and they can set up the business to contribute to society. I support re-employment for the elderly. There are many organizations that are offering support. In 2021, 370,000 elderly folks are taking part. 30% are involved in the professional work. Given the tight labor market, we do need to have the new workforce, the new manpower to supplement the shortfall. This would enable the elderly people to harness their experience and wisdom to supplement, to pick up the slack. In Japan, they do have a lot of experience that we can reference. And in Japan, they have the support scheme for those aged 60 and above. If they start their business, if they hire the elderly people, they would be eligible for 2/3 of the subsidy, or 2 million yen, to minimize the burden and also to provide incentive for them. And also there can be there is another scheme for if they are starting the business, they would also be entitled to the allowance. They've also introduced some legislation. The government would be taking the lead by providing the labor contract and allow flexible policy for the elderly, for elderly people to take part. In 2024, Toyota announced that for those 65 and above, they would be re-employed and extend their career until the age of 70. And all the other corporates are also contemplating silver hair employment. And there are some bankers who are telling me that they would like to have some experienced senior staff members to continue on, but because of insurance, this did not get off the ground. And I'm sure that there is such a demand, and there are some fine details that should be threshed out to make sure that we can have a better economy and identify more manpower for Hong Kong. I support the motion.
家沛議員，
主席。
Ms. Judy Chen. Mr. Deputy, I think
I'm grateful that we can discuss about population aging as well as how we can foster an elderly-friendly economy here. I thank the SAR government for taking on board our party's suggestions in building a silver economy. We all know that in the future 10 years, 1 out of 3 people in Hong Kong will be aged 65 or above. The New People's Party, in relation to the definition of retirement age, has said a couple times that there should be a clearer definition on the retirement age. There have been different views about the government's retirement policy, as well as transportation subsidies and so on. Some aged 55 or 65 or 75 can get these different subsidies. So there seems to be a different definition under all these subsidy schemes. So before we roll out any measures, we should do more on our population policies to define clearly who are elderly people and what the retirement age should be. Apart from population aging, around the world, we are seeing the same problem. And this is reshaping the structure of different economies, including Hong Kong. This trend affects the sustainability of our economy. We're talking about silver economy in Hong Kong, and we've been making comparisons between ourselves as well as other places in Asia. Look at Indonesia and Thailand. You see that over 40% of their population is aged 30 years old or below. So you're seeing a rather young population in these places, and the economy is growing stronger and more productive. So aging population is posing a huge impact on us. And this is also posing a pressure on our social welfare system. Elderly people are facing financial pressure, and our healthcare system, as well as our public welfare system, might collapse if we cannot support the elderly people. Aging population is also making our labor force shrink, and this will slow down the growth of our economy. To cope with population aging, the World Economic Forum last year published a rather special report about a sustainable economy as well as a resilient economy. There are 6 principles about longevity economy. Apart from the 6 major principles, we have to ensure sustainable finance for our elderly people, as well as quality retirement life. I speak in support of this motion as well as the amendment. I so submit. Thank you. Ms. Chen Yueheng. Thank you, Deputy President. Our country is actively devising strategies to cope with population aging. This motion is about fostering an elderly-friendly economy, and this echoes with the direction that our country is heading towards. Elderly people, they plan for their retirement life, and therefore they have savings. And for the silver-haired group, they have a fixed consumption pattern. Their desire for materials compared to young people is lower, and they usually just buy their daily necessities. It's hard to encourage them to spend. However, I believe they do care about how to accumulate their wealth, and they care about their health care. So we're seeing a growth in the relevant services. To build a silver economy, we should think from the elderly's perspectives. It's not that they do not want to spend any money, it's just that they haven't come across the products they need. If we are able to cater to their needs, we can ensure that they have a better retirement life, and also it will bring about economic growth. I have the following two suggestions. First, we have to improve the relevant annuity plan system. In 2017, HKAL was set up for elderly people aged 60. They can pay a premium every year, and they can accumulate savings until they reach 100 years old. We have had some 20,000 clients under this plan, and the insurance premium accumulated is about $18 billion. There are 6,500 applications this year. We see a threefold growth in terms of application number. Pension finance can help the flow of capital. The money could be used for more effective investment. In 2023, President Xi talked about pension finance. I suggest that the government encourage the private sector improve and enrich the types of insurance or retirement investment products. Elderly people should be allowed to, under the internationalization of RMB, procure mainland insurance products. Insurance products should be provided by the private sector, but there should be regulations. Also, we should make good use of the BCP economy to foster silver economy. Elderly people can travel to different places, and this can help promote the development of tourism. Many elderly people, they are keen to buy Chinese medicine products as well as different insurance products. At the border control point areas, we can promote such professional services. There will be university town as well as arts and cultural activities. We can offer different professional services as well as we can organize sports activities in this area. We are ranked among the top in relation to our R&D as well as scientific research. In the northern part of Hong Kong, we can develop life and health sciences. We can also provide high-end medical services as well as roll out healthcare products. We can build our own life and health science brands, and this is also one way to develop the I&T sector. I so submit. Thank you. Mr. Tang Fei, I speak in support of Dr. Tan Yueheng's motion as well as Mr. Michael Luk's amendment. I have the following comments. I appreciate that Dr. Tan Yueheng mentioned the term elderly-friendly economy in replacement of silver economy. Silver economy seems to be a pleasant term. It seems to be a romantic term, but it's controversial. I got told by elderly people from the middle class as well as from the grassroots about their views and reservation about the term silver economy. The reason is that they have already stopped their career development, and they feel helpless about this. Like Dr. Lo Kwok said, 4 out of 10 elderly people are in poverty. Very few of them can continue to show their potentials. For elderly people in the grassroots, they will be more conservative when they spend money. So silver economy gives people impression that we are trying to reap them off. It looks like in order to revive our economy, we have to push our elderly people to spend. So we have to be careful with the term silver economy. So I appreciate the term elderly-friendly economy raised by Dr. Tan. Some elderly people have the habit to invest, some do not. For those who are used to investing, they look prudently at different investment products because they might use up all their savings if they are careless with their investment. With all the uncertainties around the world, any risks that we see in different investment products could be higher. If you look at the profits in real estate sectors, which countries or cities are seeing the highest profit? Well, elderly people, they know very well about this. For elderly people who do not have the ability to make investments, the so-called pension finance is something very far away for them. According to 2023 statistics from the HKMA about financial management, retired people in Hong Kong, they either go for the annuity plan or the MPF. As mentioned, we see a low participation rate in the Retire 3. So I think that there should be more choices in relation to investment products for retired people. Some say that MPF investment can help settle the down payment for home purchases. Well, we have to think about whether MPF savings can actually help and how much you have to earn in order for your MPF savings to be able to settle the down payment. So we have to take into consideration the reservation of elderly people. For elderly people, regardless of whether they are capable of making investments, we should not push them to invest. Instead, we should focus on elderly care. Lastly, in relation to the people we should target, well, we should target those who are in the middle age, who are starting to plan for their retirement life when we foster an elderly-friendly economy. Apart from promoting Retire 3, we should enhance the education for our people, including young people, so that they can nurture a habit of planning for their retirement. Recently, there is a financial management scheme to enhance the awareness as well as the education for young people. We have to know how to plan our finances, and we need elderly care in order to be able to achieve an effective financial management. And it is only with this that we can foster an elderly-friendly economy, so that we can ensure the financial sustainability of our elderly people. Thank you.
Dr. Hon Yueheng. Thank you, Deputy President. I thank Dr. TAN Yueheng for moving this motion on tackling population aging and fostering an elderly-friendly economy. Hong Kong as a whole has entered a rapidly aging stage. Starting from 2028, elderly people will account for 28% of our total population. The trend will bring about immense challenges for different sectors. For example, our social welfare system. Most of the welfare packages are related to the elderly people. In 2022, there was a reform to enhance the two-tier social welfare package for the elderly people. Just this change alone, our expenditure on social welfare has increased from $35.1 billion in 2022 to $50 billion last year. There was a 47% increase. Now, within the next 10 years, this single welfare program will increase to more than $100 billion. There will be more and more elderly people and fewer young people. If this trend remains, our future generation cannot take care of the elderly people in society. In year 2000, we implemented the MPF system. That is an important step, but that was nowhere near enough. So my suggestion today is to prepare for retirement by becoming homeowners. There are 3 reasons why we need to adopt this as a viable means. This is necessary. 1, at present, the home ownership in Hong Kong, the percentage is just 49%. The percentage has been on the drop over the years. In Singapore, it is 90%. In major cities in the country, usually the home ownership rate is 90%. The same applies to major developed economies in the West. But ours is just 49%. In the future, there will be a large group of elderly people above the age of 65 without a home. What are their choices? 1, wait for a PRH allocation. 2, rent a home. Now, when you are 70 or 80 years old, no one will be willing to lease a house to you. So you will have to go back to the queue, and then you will have to rely on the social welfare as a means to support your daily life. That is unsustainable. However, if you have your own property when you retire, it will mean much less expenditure on average. Now, according to a survey, 46% of the retirees' expenditure is on housing. If there is a home, then the expenditure will be much less, and then homeowners will not rely on social welfare as a means to support their life, and it will lessen the government's expenditure on social welfare as well. So I think home ownership to prepare for retirement should be another pillar of our retirement scheme. We need to review our long-term housing policy to formulate a targeted percentage of home ownership. I remember in the first ever policy address promulgated by Mr. Tung Chee-hwa, the target was set at 70%. Decades have passed. We have set aside the target in the meantime. So this is time for us to reconsider what the targeted home ownership percentage should be so that the retirees can rely on them on their own. Now we need to tackle this from the supply-demand side of things. On the supply side, we need to enhance the supply of affordable housing. On the demand side, we need to provide financial tools for members of the public to become homeowners. Now, that is a very interesting topic. Because of the time today, I have no time to share my thoughts on this. Thank you. Mr. Duncan Chiu. Deputy President, I speak in support of Dr. TAN Yueheng's motion on tackling population aging and fostering an elderly-friendly economy. Population aging is the major challenge faced by major economies in the world, affecting the societal structure. We need to have a comprehensive strategy to meet the challenges brought about by population aging. We have to look beyond Hong Kong as well. Rather, we should make plans for the entire GBA. Through complementary strengths sharing of resources, we can forge the GBA into a demonstration zone of pension financing and elderly care plans. And we need to provide GBA experience for promoting the development of the silver economy. Now, we have more than 1.7 million elderly population in Hong Kong. According to the latest projection, the population is expected to age continuously. By 2046, we will have an 8.9 million large population, with 36% of them being elderly people. For those above the age of 80, there will be some 730,000 of them. Now, we have been ranking the first in the world in terms of longevity for 7 consecutive years. However, we face serious burden on our elderly care. More and more people are moving to the GBA to retire. However, the financial systems and the elderly care systems between the two places are different. The State Council announced the opinions on developing the silver economy and furthering the well-being of the silver population in 2024. Now, the State Council mentioned that we must enhance provision of retirement financial products and create the conditions for developing the silver economy. Now, I hope the government will study this document in depth to explore ways to integrate Hong Kong's and other mainland cities in the GBA in terms of financial pension financing. Now, we must collaborate the strengths of the banking sector, the social welfare sector, and the elderly care sector to be prepared prepare for the development of the silver economy in the GBA. There must be adjustments in the institutions. The government must formulate a plan for this. And the GBA Development Outline Plan specifies that we need to deepen collaboration in terms of elderly care across the border. In order to integrate healthcare and elderly care across the border, the government should support Hong Kong operators to set up healthcare and elderly care institutions in the mainland. More than 90% of respondents in the survey are willing to retire in the mainland, especially in Guangzhou and Zhongshan and Shenzhen. However, healthcare is a major obstacle. In order to attend follow-up consultation, many elderly people retiring in the mainland has to come back to Hong Kong very often. Now, we must allow major healthcare institutions to share the healthcare records across the border. These records and data should follow the patients across the border so that elderly patients can decide whether to make available their health record to the healthcare institutions so that mainland healthcare services providers can have access to the information in Hong Kong. Now, the government has amended the legislation in early last year so that on a voluntary basis, health record can be shared across the border via e-health. This will ensure that patients have access to their own health record. This is also the trend in the world. Patients should be allowed to manage their own health data. I hope the bill can be passed soon to facilitate cross-boundary healthcare and save the elderly people living in the mainland a trip to Hong Kong and improve the healthcare policy in the GBA. I so submit. Ms. Eunice Yung, Deputy President, I speak in support of Dr. TAN Yueheng's motion on tackling population aging and fostering an elderly-friendly economy. We face a rapidly aging population. By 2046, some 36% of our population would be elderly people above the age of 65. The large size of the elderly population would pose a pressure on the healthcare system and reduce the size of the labor force. Now, with this major wave ahead, we must plan ahead aggressively. To develop the silver economy, we need to develop the elderly care industry. In the mainland, based on the varied needs of elderly population, the mainland authorities has combined the development of culture and tourism as well as other factors of the economy. According to a study, the silver economy in the mainland will reach 49.9 trillion RMB in a few years' time. We must seize this opportunity to build a modern elderly care industry with impact. We must give full play to our unique role as an international financial center and make use of our mature capital market and steer more capital into the silver economy. At the same time, we must encourage collaboration with other cities in the GBA to harness the demand and make Hong Kong a hub for silver financing and investment. We must be innovative and introduce smart technologies as well as R&D inputs in the silver sector. We must create our own brand. Now, to tap the silver labor force, as mentioned by Mr. Michael Luk in his amendment, we must find ways to unleash the 65 or above labor force. Now, at present, the labor force participation rate is only 30%, much lower than other advanced economies. Now, with Hong Kong people becoming more and more healthy and high educational attainment, the current generation of elderly population are precious human resource capital. We must encourage the silverhead to return to workplace. Also, we must attach importance to the health of the elderly population. Like Mr. Tang Fei said, we must focus on prevention. We must align that with the developments in TCM. We must enhance prevention of chronic disease in the full life cycle and defer or delay the onset of dementia in the elderly population. Now, the Undersecretary for ITI is here as well. So I would like to say that we need to develop our capability in life and health technology, in particular, stem cell development. Now, I'm a board member of the Hong Kong Science and Technology Park. There are a lot of operators in our park engaging in similar studies. I believe that we all need to arrest the trend of aging, whether we are male or female. By helping the population to fight against aging, we can improve the quality of life of the population. We must build a brand of health and longevity in Hong Kong and have an impact in the world. Now, with population aging, it is the most opportune time for us to conduct a study to address the bottlenecks in development. Now, besides elderly care and retirement planning, this will have an impact on the well-being and stability of society. We must have a set of policies which encourage the attitude of having respect to the elderly population and make Hong Kong a place which welcome the elderly people. Thank you. I submit.
Mr. Yim Kong, President, the aging population is a social issue that we have to contend with. Dr. Tan's motion will enable us to set quick store by this issue. The UN published a report in 2021, those aged 65 and above, the number stands at 700 million, or 9.6% of the population. In 2050, it's going to be 1.6 billion. In Japan, in July, the figures show that as of 2024, those aged 65 and above take up 30% of the total population. In the mid-80s, the cabinet in Japan devised the policy to tackle this particular issue. And in Japan, they have put forward the policy regarding the tackling of the aging population. In 2023, they have introduced the legislation to raise the retirement age to 65 to encourage the elderly to continue working. In 2021, they have further elevated this to 70. So this is one of the measures to tackle the aging population. Japan is the developed country that face aging population at a very early time. I think they have set a very good example for all of us. The government should be highly concerned and make far-sighted planning. The government should have the insurance coverage for the elderly. There should also be community support, and there should be a community support center within 30 minutes of where the elderly people live. Given the tight manpower situation in Hong Kong, I think we should import the right labor to support the elderly. The aging population is one of the factors that constrain the economic development. The government should have the long-term and medium-term policy. Elderly care is not just community responsibility. It also offers ample opportunity in terms of business. The government should lure capital into this area. Third, in Hong Kong, we don't have the statutory retirement age. The government should conduct a consultation and come up with a unified retirement age for Hong Kong, and maybe at the age of 65. This would improve the earning capacity of the elderly and reducing the coffers burden. Fourth, the government should build a network of elderly care in terms of wellness and well-being. While we improve the legislation, we should uphold the fine tradition of filial piety and make sure that the elderly will have dignity in their twilight years. 6, we should take full advantage of the common law system to make sure that we have the all the standards to be formulated for the wellness and care for the elderly. There should be progressive development there. With these words, President, I support Dr. Tan's motion and the amendment. Mr. Chen Kim-po. Thank you, President. The aging population is one of the challenges that we face, and it is really a food for thought for us as to how we should create elderly-friendly economy. Elderly need a stable life. They should have financial freedom. Hong Kong is a tiny little place with dense population. The old folks' home normally have 200-300 beds. It would be difficult to cope with the demand arising from elderly population. The government has been promoting aging in place, and the government is developing the principle of aging in place as the core and institutional care as the backup, and this is a step in the right direction. The elderly can visit the DHC and the DECC and rest at home in the evening, and meals can be delivered to them to make sure that they have a balanced diet. The NGOs and corporates can collaborate to deliver meals to the elderly to satisfy the varied needs of their taste. We should also have the investment and insurance system to prepare the people for the elderly life. In the U.S., those who are well cared for, the elderly would live for 8 years longer, and the expenditure would be slashed by 30%. The government is promoting the Retire 3. We should introduce products that are competitive. One of the companies has introduced the GBA retirement scheme so that their needs can be met and preparation can be made ahead of time. In Beijing, Shanghai, GBA, they provide this kind of service, and they are providing one-stop wellness service for the elderly. In the 2024 policy address, the chief executive proposed that in 2025 there would be a 3-year pilot scheme for 3 years for the CSSA recipients to reside in the mainland old folks' homes to improve the quality of life. I hope the more elderly can stand to benefit from that. Pension finance, that the reverse mortgage will enable the elderly to have a steady stream of income because they do own their own property. For some of them, more publicity should be mounted to hammer home the message and to enhance the knowledge. In 2024, for the first 10 months, 889 cases, 6% higher than previous year. So there is an increasing awareness of the reverse mortgage plan. Let me cite an example for you to understand the beauty of the reverse mortgage. An $8 million property, the security is 100%, and anything above that would be 50%. Now, to use a concrete example, if the applicant is 70 years of age, the valuation is $8 million and $12 million. For those who opt for 10 years for the annuity, each month, 70-year-old will get $42,000 per month and $53,000. Now for life, it would be $26,000 and $32,000 respectively. So there's no mean sum as a steady income stream, and this is one of the measures that can be considered. Mr. Perrier, President, in many developed jurisdictions, they, like Hong Kong, are facing aging population with a declining birth rate and the rising elderly population. There are a lot of challenges. We have been discussing this in terms of its implication on the working population and healthcare and so on. I thank Dr. Tan for moving this motion so that we can explore the opportunities there. According to the Census and Statistics Department, in 2043, the silver population would be 1/3 of the population, or 2.67 million. And this is really a sizable segment of the population, and we tend to ignore this segment. How can we seize the business opportunity? And this is food for thought for the government. I'm glad to see that in 2023, in the PA, the CDB set up the working group on promoting silver, or the advisory panel on silver economy. Last year, the government set up the working group on promoting silver economy to roll out all the necessary measures. It shows how much importance the government attaches to this. Normally, we cover people aged 65 and above, but there are many in Hong Kong who retire at 60, and they are in good physical health. And they have paid off the mortgage, their children are grown up, and they're enjoying life in their twilight years. They do have a lot of consumption power. These silver hair people would like to sign up for a package tour to enjoy life. And this is a valuable segment of the community. So if we are to build elderly-friendly economy, we should have people-oriented approach to improve the hardware and the software. For those who have mobility problems but still would like to travel, they should be given the opportunity to do so. In November last year, the administration put forward the amendment to the building ordinance and the building code to upgrade the accessibility for the elderly. And drone tech would be deployed to improve the sense of well-being. This idea should be replicated in a lot of the attractions and commercial premises to tie in with the barrier-free access principle, so that we can be a well-recognized barrier-free city. And this will also improve our image globally. The tourism sector attaches a lot of importance to the silver market. There are a lot of products that have been formulated to provide quality experiences in their retirement, the government should do more to roll out some wellness products to attract more silver hair tourists to Hong Kong. This segment does have specific requirements, like they would value the barrier-free access, the accommodation. They have their own specific requirements. They need bespoke requirements. So the government, in planning the Northern Metropolis or the new developments, there should be consideration given to this. On Lantau, there is a tranquil environment for us to create high-end wellness package tours for the silver-haired tourists. I hope that the government will harness the wisdom in the market and to boost the silver hair economy. The CETB published the blueprint of tourism. There are 4 recommendations there, and the government is mindful of the silver market. We should explore this particular area, and I hope that all these recommendations can be taken on board by the working group and make revisions and amendments to the policies to roll out the new products associated with wellness to lure the silver segment. Thank you.
Mr. Dominic Lee, we're facing a serious population aging problem. According to statistics, by 2046, people aged 65 or above will account for 36% of the total population. This does not only affect our social welfare system, but also the sustainable growth of our economy. I thank Dr. Tan Yueheng, therefore, for raising this motion on tackling population aging and fostering an elderly-friendly economy so that we can bring together different suggestions. The New People's Party is in support of this motion. Apart from the suggestions mentioned in the original motion, I think through different ways we can enhance our support. For example, we should have more silver tech products and services to provide convenience to the elderly. Earlier on, I, together with other members of the panel on transport, visited Hangzhou, and there are different smart platforms there to monitor the lifestyle of people. Through these smart platforms as well as IoT, there are services to monitor elderly people's health, emergency services, and so on. There are also canteens dedicated for elderly people. It is kind of like a public canteen. They offer very cheap meals for elderly people, and they can have social gatherings there. Turning to pension finance, I think there should be financial planning tools taking into consideration the needs of the elderly. We have silver bonds in Hong Kong. In Japan, they are quite advanced in this regard. Their funds are a very good example. Through elderly investment plans, they help elderly people earn stable income to support their retirement life. I hope that the financial institutions in Hong Kong can step up the promotion of such services. Also, the SAR government can think about making use of elderly human resources. Mr. Andrew Lam said that elders are our treasures. I think he was referring to the savings of our elders. However, I'm referring to elderly human resources, their experiences and wisdom. In Australia, there is a program called Experience Plus. It targets elderly workers. They offer training to the elderly people. They make use of their human resources to help elderly people participate in the labor force in different levels. Our elderly people in Hong Kong, they are in good health conditions. We can leverage their labor force. I see that the Secretary is always worried about the manpower shortage. Perhaps we can make use of our elders. To tackle population aging in Hong Kong, I hope the SAR government can adopt a multi-pronged approach to promote silver technology, pension finance, and so on. I believe if we work together and put in place good measures and effective measures, we will be able to foster an elderly-friendly economy. Thank you, President. I so submit. Mr. Ben Chen. Thank you, President. Indeed, population aging is irreversible. We see that we have a low birth rate, and with the rate of population aging, we are seeing the relevant impact, not just in Hong Kong, but also in the neighboring places. On the mainland as well, we see that we have entered an era of population aging. So in our daily lives, we have to take into consideration different measures to tackle the problem. On the mainland, there are so-called charters or voluntary programs. I think the SAR government should think about whether legislation should be enacted to tackle population aging. Why do we need to enact legislations? In relation to housing, for example, if there is no regulation, will those who build housing adopt measures, elderly-friendly measures? Take housing departments as an example. Will it take into consideration population aging in allocating elderly people to housing estates that are elderly-friendly? For newly built housing estates, are they suitable for elderly people to live in? In terms of the design of the residential units, for example, some of the gates are very hard to be opened. Also, are there barrier-free access or facilities in these housing estates to provide convenience to wheelchair users? Are there smart devices for elderly people in these estates? There could be such elderly-friendly devices in the bathrooms of these residential units. If these designs can be incorporated into the housing estates, it would make things easier. In terms of allocation of housing units, we understand that there are schemes prioritizing elderly people in the allocation of public rental units. Say, if a young person wants to live closely to the elderly member in his family, then there should be measures for him to do that. We have to, therefore, revise our system. Universal accessibility program definitely provides convenience to elderly people. It's hard for elderly people to go upstairs, for example. Under the Universal Accessibility Program, there are pedestrian footbridges as well as lifts. However, there are many places in Hong Kong where there is a very low accessibility, and I'm referring to villages in Hong Kong. To give you an example, I'm quite familiar with Tsuen Wan and Kwai Ching. In some of the villages, we see elderly people living there because they were rehoused to these villages because of urban development. They live in hilly areas and they often have to go up slopes and stairs. And this is not convenient for them. With the Universal Accessibility Program, we've been building pedestrian footbridges. However, can we also expand this program to these villages and hilly areas? Can we build pedestrian footpaths for elderly people living in these villages. Be it housing or mobility, we really have to facilitate our elderly people. And we should be able to create economic benefits through these measures. Let's work hard together. Thank you.
Mr. Porter. President, it is very important to focus on the different aspects of living of elderly persons, but let me talk about things from a society perspective. But we shouldn't focus only on figures. We need to focus on quality of living. We have seen recently some single-parent families, some do not have children, some middle-income families. But I hope that the government should take into account not only the figures, but also these different circumstances in their policy formulation. We often talk about there is a manpower shortage and shortage of resources. On resources, I would object to scrapping the $2 concession scheme. If we are to release labor potential of the elderly persons, we shouldn't scrap this scheme, because if they get the transport concessions, they are more willing to work. And more importantly, once they are earning an income, they would consume more. There is a multiplier effect, and that will be beneficial to the economy. So that's for manpower. Now, for resources, fiscal resources, I very much agree with what Dr. Wendy Hong said. We need to make sure we have adequate reserves. We talked about rearing children for the care of the aged, but now it may not apply, really. We talked about MPF being used for property acquisition, perhaps, and then we have reverse mortgage also. We have the mortgage corporation program. If we can do well in this regard, we should be able to release some resources to further boost the economy. So, apart from further promoting this, we need more products so that it's not just about retirement protection for those who have been cheated out of money by their children. They can still live with dignity on their own savings, or they can just make use of their own assets, or they can still have something left for their family if they want to leave them that. But it's also important to develop the economy. We often talk about how we need to do more for the grassroots, to have a grassroots trustee, essentially. We have more and more people relying on themselves. They do not have children. They do not have any external help. If there is a platform for them, that would be beneficial. We already have in the legal field a power of attorney that can help with that. But we are far lagging behind the regime in Singapore. They have had 220,000 people who have registered that, and they can register online, and we only have 4,000 odd people opting for power of attorney in Hong Kong. Can we promote this a little more? I think with the asset arrangements, can we do it like advanced medical directives? We can have advanced directives for our asset allocation, so that we can allow citizens to have advanced directives, and we can do something more for grassroots trustees, so that for those who are mentally incapacitated, they can still keep their own money. They wouldn't be scammed out of their money. They can issue directions on their spending and investment. Whatever the policy is, we need to make sure we take a macro perspective. We are talking about promoting silver economy. We need to make sure in policies, in the different resource allocation and different aspects, we need to make sure we're supporting this. Does any other member wish to speak? Dr. Tan Yueheng, you may now speak on the amendment. Thank you, President. I thank Mr. LUK Chung-hung for proposing an amendment and the 32 other members who have spoken. I agree that with what Mr. LUK Chung-hung said, there is a need for silver education, elderly employment protection, and unleashing potential labor force. As I said earlier, we need to foster an elderly-friendly economy. That would mean changing the perception that the elderly persons are a burden. We need to unleash the productivity of the elderly. I agree with what Mr. LUK Chung-hung said. Not only should we provide training and retraining to elderly persons so that they can be equipped with new skills to tie in with the development of society and industries in general. In terms of education, we need to provide them with more support so that they can plan for their retirement finances. We should also involve other groups of people and provide relevant education and training opportunities that would facilitate exchanges among different age groups so that we can give the elderly a sense of security. We can form a more comprehensive community network as well. I also agree with what Mr. LUK Chung-hung said about providing motivation for the elderly in working on specific measures. I hope that the government will not only look at things from a welfare perspective. You should have diversified measures encouraging enterprises, public bodies, and NGOs on the premise of not affecting their productivity, engage more elderly workers to unleash their labor potential. I think the government and public bodies should lead by example to encourage the public and private sectors to have an elderly-friendly business environment. We should provide more flexible working arrangements for the elderly. We also need to make sure there is an elderly-friendly business environment as well as proper facilities, lighting, and magnifying lens. We should start from the small things so as to achieve what we want. I so submit, speaking in support of the amendment. Under Secretary for Innovation, Technology and Industry, I would like to thank Dr. Tan Yueheng for proposing the motion, and I am also grateful to members for providing very valuable views, as well as Mr. LUK Chung-hung for proposing an amendment on commercialization of R&D outcomes and enhancing the matching of the supply side and the demand side in order to better support the development of silver economy. I would like to give a response here. Many members talked about how they would want the administration to enhance R&D on germ technology products services. We have all along been relying on the ITC's ITF, Innovation and Technology Fund, to support universities, R&D institutions, and enterprises to conduct applied R&D projects in silver technology and germ technology. Our R&D centers have also been promoting applied R&D projects and working with the trade to have projects through technological transfer. We can facilitate commercialization of R&D outcomes. On germ technology, We have success examples such as the remote rehabilitation training platform developed by the R&D Center for LCSM Logistics and Supply Chain Multi-Tech R&D Center, which is effective in conducting remote assessment and monitoring so that users can obtain rehabilitation training services remotely. This system has been successfully applied in a number of community service centers. In addition, NAMI, the Nano and Advanced Materials Institute, developed an impact-resistant material that can be used to manufacture floor mats to prevent the elderly from falling. The material has successfully industrialized and licensed to companies for application in local healthcare organizations. There are also a number of members who have talked about how we should encourage and promote the trade and different sectors really to make use of R&D outcomes through the public sector trial scheme under the ITF, which assists enterprises in producing prototypes or samples of their R&D outcomes on silver technology and facilitates trials in the public sector. For an even larger application, the ITF for application in elderly rehabilitation care under the Labor and Welfare Bureau provides funding support for eligible service units to acquire, lease, and trial tech products. On the other hand, Mr. Duncan Chu, Mr. Lerman Kwong, and Dr. Amin Yu talked about how we should enhance the matching of supply and demand for silver technology and further support the user experience enhancement with economic development. We will make use of the Hong Kong Science and Technology Parks Corporation, Cyber Park, and the Hong Kong Productivity Council to take forward such work. The HKSTPC, for example, co-organized the GIES Tech and Innovation Expo Come Summit in 2024 that featured medical and health-related tech solutions from 35 companies in the park. The Cyberport organized a series of business matching activities to help startups engaging in tech to establish connections with social welfare organizations. In future, we will encourage the HKSTPC and Cyberport to organize more thematic activities or matching sessions to help INT enterprises in the park and the industry to establish closer ties and facilitate their collaboration with more organizations, including social welfare organizations, to connect the demand side and the supply side so that we can focus more effectively on the needs of residential care homes or the elderly, specifically in development and adaptation of relevant technologies and products so that it will be more elderly friendly, and it can also provide a platform to showcase innovative digital solutions that can meet the needs of the elderly in their daily lives, promoting the development of silver economy. President, members, we will continue to work closely with various stakeholders and listen to the views of different sectors to promote the development of INT in relation to German technology. We want to make use of technologies to support the elderly and the development of Hong Kong. Thank you.
Undersecretary for Financial Services and the Treasury. President, I thank Mr. Tang for moving the motion and Mr. Luk for his amendment. I also thank 32 members for their views and suggestions. I will reply to views expressed on retirement finance. First, on financial products. The Hong Kong Mortgage Corporation, Hong Kong MC, has many missions, one of which is to promote the development of retirement planning. In 2021, Amigos by Hong Kong MC was launched to promote the Hong Kong MC Annuity Plan, the Reverse Mortgage Program, and the Policy Reverse Mortgage Program. The three products provide instant, stable, and lifelong income. The annuity plan converts savings to lifelong monthly annuity income. The plan was warmly received since its inception in 2018. As at the end of last year, there are a total of 21,000 customers, and the amount applied for stands at $19.7 billion. The reverse mortgage program unleashes the value of the residential property to enable owners to receive a monthly income while living in the property until they pass away. From its inception in 2011 to the end of 2024, close to 8,000 applications have been received. From 2016 and 17, the government started rolling out the silver bond as a product that generates a stable return for local residents aged 65 and above. Interest payout is made once every 6 months. The interest rate is linked to average annual inflation rate with a fixed rate. The principal is paid upon maturity. Investors may sell the bonds before maturity to the government. Every issuance was very well received. In October, under the infrastructure bond, the issuance of that batch of silver bond received a subscription of 1.4 times bigger than the issuance. When it comes to the MPF, scheme members may choose to withdraw all of the accrued benefits or part of it, leaving the rest to roll. This gives flexibility in relation to financial arrangements to meet basic expenses after retirement. The MPFA will continue to work with the sector to roll out more products for scheme members to choose from. In terms of elderly financial education, the Hong Kong MC will continue to publicize Amigos by Hong Kong MC. In addition, we will work with the SFC as well as the Investor and Financial Education Council to launch financial education for the elderly. We make use of different channels, including public events, social media platforms, education information on the website, as well as digital financial tools to enhance financial literacy of the public. The focus of the Investor and Financial Education Council is to enable the general public to pick suitable financial products to manage their savings and handle risks, as well as to guard against fraud. The Council in March last year launched the first FinEd Hub, offering immersive experience to the general public, including elderly people, so that they can guard against fraud. And this will also enhance the digital financial literacy. The website of the Council also offers education information to help elderly people to manage their finances. Helping people guard against fraud is important. The Hong Kong Monetary Authority, the police, and the Hong Kong Association of Banks launched the Suspicious Account Alert in November 2023. The information on scammeter is used to send out alerts to bank customers if there is any suspicious activity. It started off with MPF identifier, but now is extended to transactions at bank branches, ATMs, or online bankings. These covers the majority of daily transactions used by the public. This will enhance the public's capability of the public to guard against fraud. According to information in the third quarter of last year, 24,000 alerts have been sent out to get customers to cancel their high-risk transaction. The Hong Kong MA asked all banks to launch money safe protection function. When a customer uses that function, a segregated amount in their deposit will not be withdrawn unless there is a further verification. What we'd like to do is that should elderly people was enticed to make a transfer, there is a chance for them to stop and think before they act. This will be launched on a pilot basis to target groups, say the elderly people. The Hong Kong MA at the same time required banks to launch an option of disabling internet banking platform to make it difficult for fraudsters to manipulate customers by signing up on online platform or withdraw funds. we will make use of a multi-pronged approach, including financial products, financial education, and anti-fraud measures to enhance the protection to those who are working or those who have retired, so that they can enjoy their lives. I so submit.
Undersecretary for Labor and Welfare. President, I thank Dr. Tan for moving this motion and Mr. Michael Luk for his amendment. I'm also grateful to other members who put forward their valuable views. I will focus on unleashing the potential labor force of the elderly and making good use of drone technology in my reply. The government has been implementing a series of measures to tap into and unleash the potential labor force of the elderly, encouraging employers having regard to their individual circumstances to adopt elderly-friendly employment practices such as extending the working age of employees, providing flexi working arrangements, and fostering an environment conducive to elderly employment to facilitate more elder persons to stay in or rejoin in the labor market. On retraining, the Employees Retraining Board ERB offers around 700 market-oriented training courses straddling across 28 industries and generic skills for eligible persons, including older persons. The ERB also provides training courses which gear toward the employment needs for older persons aged 50 or above to encourage the potential workforce to enter the labor market. For example, the ERB organizes the Post-50 internship program for older persons aged 50 or above to facilitate their understanding of the current employment market situation. The Labor Department launched a 3-year employment allowance pilot scheme to encourage persons aged 50 or above who have not been engaged in any paid work for 3 consecutive months to rejoin the workforce. The scheme covers full-time jobs, part-time jobs, and qualified casual work to facilitate flexible employment of the elderly and middle-aged. Under the scheme, each eligible participant receives up to $20,000 of re-employment allowance upon having worked for 12 consecutive months. To further encourage employers to take on participants of the scheme, the LD has extended the duration of on-the-job training for scheme participants aged over 60 employed under the employment program for the elderly and middle-aged to 12 months. As of the 31st of December 2024, the scheme had close to 30,000 participants in total and 9,500 employment cases. Participants aged over 60 and their employment cases were close to 7,000 and 2,300 respectively. The response has been enthusiastic. On a different note, the government has been promoting the application of drone technology in the social welfare sector on a number of fronts. The aim is to improve the quality of life of the elderly and ease the pressure of carers of the elderly. Meanwhile, the wider application by the social welfare sector will also help with the industrialization and marketization of drone technology. In 2018, the government set aside $1 billion for setting up the INT Fund for application in elderly and rehabilitation care to subsidize elderly people and rehabilitation service units to procure, rent, and trial use technology products. As at the end of 2024, the fund had approved a total of $750 million to subsidize around 2,000 service units to procure or rent over 21,000 technology products. The 2023 policy address announced that the government would inject an additional $1 billion into the fund in 2024 to 25 and expand its scope to cover drone technology products suitable for household use. The Social Welfare Department is working on the implementation details and plans to implement it in the first quarter this year. The OH living allowance needs to be taken forward very cautiously. We'll continue to implement the initiative according to Article 145 of the Basic Law. We'll continue to adopt the 2017 work plan and work on publicity in order to support elderly employment and to encourage employers to take on elderly employees. We'll continue to drive the use of drone technology in the social welfare sector. I also submit. Thank you, President.
Secretary for Commerce and Economic Development. President, once more I thank Mr. Tang for moving the motion and Mr. Luk for his amendment. I also thank 32 members for their valuable views in relation to promoting silver economy as well as building a elderly friendly economy. As I pointed out in my opening remarks, The 2024 policy address covers 5 areas. They are the silver economy, the silver consumption, silver industry, quality assurance of silver products, silver financial and security arrangements, and silver productivity. They are 5 areas relating to silver economy. Just now, the Innovation, Technology and Industry Bureau, Financial Services and the Treasury Bureau, as well as the Labor and Welfare Bureau have replied in relation to their respective purview. I will now speak on promoting silver economy as well as quality assurance of silver products. On promoting silver economy, we formulate policies along 3 directions. We will enhance cooperation with the business sector to promote silver economy. We agree with members' suggestions in this regard. We will launch more products for elderly people to choose from. In December, the Chinese Manufacturers Association of Hong Kong organized the Brands and Products Expo. A number of elements relating to silver consumption were added. The Deputy Chief Secretary attended the expo to promote government policy and encourage the business sector to take a bigger part. We'll continue to liaise with the business sector on rolling out more activities on silver consumption. We make use of various platforms such as fairs and expos. We want to make it easier for elderly people to know about products that meet their needs. We're working with the Hong Kong CSS on how to publicize the guideline of care food standard. The guideline enables elderly people with swallowing difficulties to enjoy food. Just now, Mr. TAN Yueheng and Mr. Chen Xiu-hung expressed their views in this regard. We understand that the soft diet was very well received. It shows the potential of the market. So in addition to promoting the guideline, we'll work with the sector on ways to encourage more restaurants to offer elderly-friendly dishes, to give elderly consumers a wide range of choices to promote their health and well-being. The third area is to enhance consumer protection for the elderly. Just now, Mr. Shanghai Long talked about how to prevent elderly people falling victim to fraud. We now have a number of legislations to guard against that. That is the Trade Description Ordinance that prohibits false trade description and misleading sales practices. The enforcement agency, that is the C&E Department and the Communications Authority, will continue to enforce the law to step up publicity and education to implement the Trade Description Ordinance. The C&E Department has been monitoring the market situation to identify the latest modus operandi of unscrupulous sales practice. They will also step up publicity and education targeting the elderly. The Consumer Council will also enhance their the consumer education on elderly people. There will also be measures rolled out to enable elderly people to get accurate information about products as well as to enhance their awareness against unscrupulous sales practice. In terms of promoting silver assurance of quality assurance of silver products, first, to enhance the application of GBA standards. The governments of Guangdong, Hong Kong, and Macau have been working to set GBA standards for goods and services. Currently, there are 200 items with GBA standards. 5 of them are related to elderly services. We'll continue to encourage the trade to set out more GBA standards on products and services for the elderly. We think that when it comes to setting standards and setting the standards of products and services for the elderly people has a huge market potential. We can make use of the standards and use it as an indicators of R&D. We can also make use of certification as a sales tool to enhance the appeal of these products. We can also help elderly people to identify quality products and services. So promoting silver quality assurance of silver products is a win-win approach. We're working with the trade on formulating and promoting quality assurance. The working group will continue to listen to different stakeholders, including the electrical business sector, elderly people, and their carers. We expect that different measures will be launched in the first half of this year. We use the framework of the 5 areas to promote a silver economy and build an elderly-friendly economy. We try to meet the needs of elderly people whilst promoting economic development. We look forward to the different sectors in their initiatives to promote silver economy. We'll work together to create quality products and services so that elderly people can share the fruit of our development. I now ask Mr. Michael Luk to move an amendment.
President, I move my amendment. I propose the question to you that Mr. LUK Chung-hung's amendment be passed. Will those in favor please raise their hands? Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of each of the 2 groups of members present. I declare the amendment passed. Dr. TAN Yueheng, you have 1 minute and 12 seconds to reply, then the debate will come to a close. Dr. TAN Yueheng. Thank you, President. I would like to thank Mr. LUK Chung-hung and the 32 other members for giving their valuable views. Mr. Luk's amendment and other members' views are talking about how we have to foster an elderly-friendly economy. They have given truly valuable views. I would like to thank the relevant bureaus, the secretaries and undersecretaries, to discuss various issues: silver economy, welfare policies, and standards for elderly-friendly products and services. Developing silver economy and fostering an elderly-friendly economy is not about only diversifying the economy of Hong Kong. It is a livelihood issue for 2/3 of the population. We really need to think about how we are adopting a forward-looking approach to tackle this population aging challenge. When faced with an aging population, we should not rely only on the government. We should all work together. Each and every one of us should be involved because it is our future. Let's all work together to foster an elderly-friendly economy and society in general. I implore members to support the motion as amended. I now put the question to you that Dr. TAN Yueheng's motion as amended by Mr. LUK Chung-hung be passed. Will those in favor please raise their hands? Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of each of the 2 groups of members present. I declare the motion as amended passed.
Members' motion with no legislative effect. Ms. Chen Hao-yan